Good boy. Good boy. Out.
It's a little bit about yourself as a breeder of the Tosa.
Well, I got interested in the Tosas after going to a rare breed dog show, in which I had another breed entered there, and I fell in love with them when I saw photos of them. There were no Tosas there. The rarity of them intrigued me. From there, I started investigating the breed. I found out how few of them there were in this country, the different origins, countries of origins, and breeders overseas, and I started making my contacts and shopping around for them. It was a long, drawn-out process, and it took me over 2 years, almost 3 years, before I purchased my first Tosa.
Can you give us a brief history of the Tosa?
Originally, there was a breed of dog called the Kochi dog, which is now extinct. It existed over 1,000 years ago in Japan in the prefecture called Kochi. There, the samurai warriors changed their ways of settling disputes by fighting to the death, by letting the Kochi dogs that they owned represent them in the fight. It was not to the death, but they would abide by the decision. The victor won the decision. And it also lent itself so that not always did the stronger samurai warrior win, but sometimes the smarter one won. So it would change the genetics, actually, even of the samurai warriors themselves, because a samurai that had a losing Kochi dog could come back for the next argument after he's changed his breeding program and win the next argument. So it actually became more of a thought process than a fighting process. As the breed developed, they were breeding fiercer and fiercer dogs, and the Kochi dog itself actually took some separate steps. From the Kochi dog developed the Akita and the Shiba Inu. The Kochi dog stayed that way until the mid-1800s, when Japan opened its door to Europeans coming in for trade, and with each trading ship, they brought different Mastiffs and Bulldogs from Europe. And they also changed the purpose of the dog because they wagered on dog fights, which was very big in Europe at the time, and the Japanese caught on to the betting syndrome very heavily. The Kochi dog held its own against the bigger, stronger European dogs, but somebody gave the thought, what would happen if we mixed the breeds? And from mixing the breeds, different parts of Japan was trading with different parts of Europe. So you had Bull Mastiffs in one part, Dogue de Bordeaux in another, Bulldogs in another, depending on what European traders were where. And they mixed them with the Kochi dog. And as that developed, you got Tosas that looked similar but varied. So as a whole, the Yakuza started to be formed, which is the Japanese mafia as we know it, and they put some restrictions on him. If you breed a Tosa to another breed, you must breed back to the Tosa for 3 generations. So they maintain the Tosa standard, and that's how today's Tosa comes into being as far as appearance sake. And it also explains why sometimes there's ones that are more wrinkled, and some that are more bulldogish, and some that are more houndy. Originally, they put certain breeds into the dog to enhance it. For example, there is actually a part pointer in the Tosa, and that's because the pointer is probably the dog with the highest level of concentration. So when the dog is fighting, it doesn't pay attention to the crowd. It concentrates on what is in front of it and what's at hand. Well, the breed standard recognized worldwide is the FCI standard, which was submitted by the JKC, the Japanese Kennel Club, and accepted by the FCI. It's for a bold, courageous, robust, powerful dog, broad skull, sudden stop on the nasal passage, Red is the preferred color. Fawn is accepted. They come in other colors, but there are deviations, and then if there's an equal dog, it should be given to the red one as far as a preference goes. They should have a powerful gait. They should have a long tail reaching the hocks but thick at the root. They should have a scissor bite, and they should have dewlap, and they're allowed some facial wrinkle.
What type of environment does the breed excel in?
As far as living environment, they do well in family environment. They're good house dogs. Adult Tosas are not hyper, although they do love to play when you request them to play. They can be apartment dogs. They can be house dogs. They do need to be exercised, though. The Tosa is a human-oriented dog. It's dog aggressive due to its nature of breeding, but it is not human aggressive, and therefore it's human bonding. It thrives best in a family atmosphere. It adopts the entire family. It allows visitors, but is always wary and protective. It's not the kind of dog you have to lock up when visitors come, but it is the kind of dog that needs to be around humans. We don't want a dog to become a kennel syndrome dog or a shy dog because of lack of human contact. Because of its size and power, it can become a dangerous adversary, and therefore it should be properly human socialized.
Many people are concerned about a Tosa just being too dog aggressive.
I have a Tosa that's a therapy dog. He's taught not to be dog aggressive, and he is not in the hospital when we visit, and there's other therapy dogs there. But outside the hospital, he knows he's a Tosa, and I do not allow other dogs to come up close to him. He's a wonderful show dog. He won't misbehave or lunge at another dog, but other dogs shouldn't approach him or any other Tosa unless everybody is sure that nothing's going to happen.
What should a potential buyer consider when looking to buy a Tosa?
First off, I recommend not buying a Tosa that does not have FCI papers. Tosa should have FCI. That's in those orders, those letters in those orders. That's the Federación Sinologica Internacional. It has offices in just about every country in the world. You should make sure you get a solid health guarantee against all genetic problems, not just one or two specific ones. And be careful of these guarantees, that it's not that you return the dog to get your money back or a replacement dog, because you're going to bond with this dog very heavily. They're really sweethearts, and you're not going to want to give it up to get that guarantee enforced. Also, in order to make sure there's no problems, check out the parents on the premise, check out the breeder's reputation, and what the breeder has done with the dog. Make sure it's not a dog just sitting in a kennel that was bred, or somebody had bought one dog and wants to breed. See if the dog has any titles in the Schützen ring, in the show ring, in the obedience ring. Make sure the dogs are being worked, and that includes both mother and father, and then you can be more assured of getting a stable temperament puppy. Temperament is foremost. I breed first for temperament, second for structure and conformation, and then color and size. Those are secondary natures, although they're aesthetics that tend to fool most people.
good fight.
Good boy. Good boy.
We'd like to thank Lou Glogauer, Michelle Jones of Stonewall Kennels, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Steve DiTullio of Queensville, New York, for their help in this breed segment.